X-ray business unit became a separate public traded company called Wirex. So at that time, we had a challenge facing dis-synergy cost. In other words, we had to absorb a lot of SG&A cost because less revenue, right? Less employees, so that's the challenge we have. One of the opportunities we see is indirect procurement. Why is that? At that time, we do not have a standardized indirect procurement process. We do not have the one team. Each entity, each international office, they run their own indirect procurement, right? We spend hundreds of millions of dollars in that front. So we see how we can consolidate all the buying power so that we can negotiate better deal with the vendors. How we can streamline the process so that we can save people time. Right? The solution we find out is contract management system, right? So by having that platform in place, we're thinking we can put all the worldwide contract in one place, then we can have visibility, we can run the workflow on one platform to connect the buyers with the vendors, with our internal requester, with even finance account payable, right? So that's the goal we try to achieve. So in short, we start implementation October last year, about 6 months ago, and then we deliver the buy-side CLM invitation. We go live the end of April, a month ago. So it's a 6 month project, and right now the system go live, we're rolling region by region. So right now we have one platform in place. I believe we are well on track to save company money, right? That is how we started.
So it's great to hear that you're having success on the procurement side. How are you taking this to the rest of the enterprise? What's your approach?
Thank you, Rob. That's good questions. We certainly did not want to stop here because there are many other opportunities outside indirect procurement. Especially we're talking with the folks in legal, in sales operation, finance, account payable, compliance, right? So they all echo the similar pain in the similar theme, right? For example, right, legal complaint, they feel they have less control in the cloud library. There are a lot of difficulty to access the historical data. There are no such database for them to see. And for sales, is a lot of time wasted on manual process. With the negotiating with the customers, they don't have a consistency in between the new contract and old contract. Those difficulties come up once in a while. And for finance, they just, for account payable, they do not have the single pane of glass to see all the customer obligations, right? How much I should pay, what service I should deliver. It's a headache for them. For compliance, we are a medical device company under FDA regulations. So one of the key things is we have to make sure our interaction with healthcare provider had to be compliant, right? So that involves a lot of audit on our contract, especially contract with healthcare providers. Literally, right now, we do not have a centralized repository for internal audit to see such contract. So the people have to fly from Beijing, Tokyo, Hong Kong, right, everywhere, just literally get those contracts. That is really the huge pain. So overall, we see the disconnect, the manual process is across different functions, right? Those are the areas we want to bring the contract management system into that space.
So once you deployed procurement, and then you started talking to these different areas of the company for deploying CLM, has your approach or the way in which you discussed this with them to roll it out changed, or anything different?
It's hybrid. It's hybrid. In the deployment, we have two use case scenario. One is the agreement type focused. The second is the business process focused. Let's talk about the first one first. The first one is agreement focused. What that means? I'll use NDA as example, right? NDA is a simple, low-risk contract which can be consumed by worldwide company department. So that is a standard, single owner, single process, and then once we implemented NDA process in CLM, it's covered worldwide organization, right? That's kind of we call it, so it's very straightforward. The change management is light, there's not very much change. The second use case scenario is the business process focused. One example is the sales operation. Our product, our medical device, we're talking about each contract from order to delivery is 12 to 18 months. It's a long duration to deliver the product. And also the product are complex, they need service, they need configuration, there are a lot of things components. So as a result, the contract is not single contract, it's really portfolio of them. We talk about the license agreement, talk about service agreement, talk about the product schedule, talk about the BAA, all kinds of things. And the stakeholder, not one, not only negotiation team, we also have a sales, operation, account payable, bidding, right, and legal as well. So there are multiple players in that space. So in that case, we just cannot implement a single contract, right? It will not work. We had to implement a collection of the contract across multiple departments, build the workflow, build the business process along with that. So then we can have a successful rollout. That is more complex, but that's the way we want to do it. For the complex scenarios, one of the challenges we have is how you set up expectation with multiple stakeholders, right? As you said, we have legal, we have finance, we have different, because people want everything today, right? And of course, you cannot give them, in one day, right? So one of the framework we try to leverage is, hey guys, we are at the beginning of the journey, right? The beginning of the journey, before we reach to the tipping point, there are a lot of work, a lot of upfront investment are required. You may not see a lot of progress, right? But we are doing the foundational work, right? So people understand it will take some time. And also at the meantime, for the deployment team, we need to keep people focused so that we could reach the tipping point earlier. So what was tipping point in this case in here? The tipping point, I will say, we roll out the first use case, in our case, will be in their procurement. So it's one use case go live, people get some value. I'm not saying all value, but get some value. So people have some tangible in hand. That's what we call the tipping point, right? Once you pass the tipping point, the momentum is building up, and the company already have some awareness. They are open for adoptions, and you will have much easier time to sell the solutions. The one thing to keep in mind is, at that time, a lot of people, they will want to use CLM, but just be careful. Do not overpromise. Do not overpromise, right? Do not being, chased out by the stone, right? So you'll be crashed. So that's a good problem to have. But that is one tool. We want to have a common understanding on the tipping point in terms of the uphill battle versus the downhill run. So that's one tool we communicate with our internal stakeholders. The second thing is, we educate our executive, our stakeholder. Hey, we want to start with we call the minimum viable product approach. We don't want them wait a long time because we want to give them a car. We're building one tire at a time. Will probably take a couple years, right? We want to tell guys, hey folks, we're going to give you a skating board first, right? Then a scooter, then bicycle, then motorcycle, then a car. So the approach really want to 2 for 1 basically. One is the organization as a whole is need to go through learning curve, frankly. They need to understand what's a CLM, what can I use it, right? How they learn. They have to have this something in their hand so they can try it, right? If they don't have the real system in their hand, they just cannot learn. It will take longer to learn. So we want to deliver something tangible to users' hands so they can have a chance to be informed, to be educated on the subject, right? That's one way. Second is we want to give some value back to business so they can take the advantage of the CLM, right? Without waiting for a long time, right? That will keep them motivated, keep them engaged, so they will provide better feedback to us. Hey guys, hey, I need this feature, I need that feature. So that become a positive feedback, right? That will become a force to drive the momentum. So, in this case, we're trying to leverage the out-the-box. We try to minimize any customization, but we do leverage out-the-box workflow. We do leverage the out-the-box, the data modeling, and that's all which we're trying to do, right? That is the one tools we're trying to frame our CLM deployment. With those two models in mind, we're looking at over 30 different type of contract across different the business area, including marketing, finance, legal. We try to bring them in one platform, right? So that's the scope what we're trying to do in the contract management space. With one platform approach, then every single department function they will be able to benefit, right? The more people can benefit, I think the system will work more better. That's our philosophy. There are few things lesson learned. When we're doing the CLM, it's a change management. So change is a pain, right? It's a pain. How we can try to relieve or make less pain for the people. Right now, I can borrow my son's karate coach says, there's a good pain, there's a bad pain, right? The good pain makes you strong, muscle pain makes you strong, makes you stronger. Bad pain hurts, right? I mean, you get a cut with bad pain, it hurts you, make you weak. So we feel, but how we can make the good pain a little bit less. So one thing is user experience, right? We're trying to say, hey, if we can make it's easier for user to use it without a lot of training, right? I know I'm a lot of training, but I will say we're trying to do less training, more awareness. What that means, no people take a training to learn how to use Google to search web, right? You just put keyword, you got it, right? That is straightforward. So we try to deliver the same user experience for CLM users, right? So one example is we're enable single sign-on, so no people need to worry about password. When you go to single sign-on, it's already in. We try to enable the DocuSign, integration, e-sign, so the people they don't need to go to DocuSign to the e-sign, everything in one place, right? And then we're integrated with ICP, we're integrated with Salesforce. In other words, the vendor master, the customer master is there. The user they don't need to worry about how they look for the vendor or customer is at their fingertip, right? Those things we feel it takes a upfront investment to design a better UI, better user experience, so that you will be saving big in later training. You don't have to spend a lot of time. You don't need to spend, create a fancy training material because your user interface is so intuitive, you don't need training. I mean, frankly, if you need an intended training, I would say that's going to failure, for the system design. I mean, that's how I feel it. The second thing is the data. I think there are many sessions cover the data cleansing. One of the value I can feel from, either from AI or machine learning, the foundation is data, right? If data is garbage, there's no value, right? So data quality, data cleansing is critical for us. One thing is for data cleansing, usually it's not small task. It's usually take 2 to 3 times more effort than building system alone. So do not underestimate the effort required for data cleansing. And but the good thing is, the business can take on the initiative for the data cleansing when we start the CLM deployment. So that can be parallel activities, right? But it's important. Do not let it fall off the radar. That's my second lesson learned. The third thing is, I know we're talking about the ASC, Apttus Intelligent Portal. We use ASC Portal for our contract request portal. We open to worldwide users. All our users can request contracts through the portal, single sign-on in, and we're user-friendly. All the requests come to CLM, and the user can check the status, right? And that's very highly recommend leverage ASC Portal for your contract request. And the license-wise, is not based on the named user license model. It's based on usage, right? So I feel that's a big cost saving for the business. And it had integration with Salesforce already, so you don't need to worry about that piece. So overall, I feel with the better UI, data cleansing, with the contract leverage the contract portal, that probably can give you a good start for your CLM deployment. Back to you, Rob. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert. So Robert's story at Varian is a good one from the standpoint that he started out looking at this from a vision perspective of how he can get success throughout the company utilizing CLM. For me, over the past 15 years, I've been working with a lot of clients who have either gone down the path of deploying CLM or have started down it and then stalled out to some degree. The one thing that I've noticed over and over is success tied into that. It's success from knowing what do you want to get out of CLM, knowing what areas you want to attack, how you want to approach that, and then identifying what do you measure success against. How are you going to know that you've become successful? And then once you are successful, sharing that with everybody, broadcasting it throughout the company. One of the things that Robert mentioned is very true, is once people start realizing the benefits that they can get from this and some of the advantages they get out of it, they're anxious to want to use it. And so as long as you incorporate those items, pull that in, you can have great success at this, because it's a lot more than just what is the feature set that I want to activate. Can I negotiate the contract? Can I do approvals? It's actually more about the use case related to that particular agreement type within that particular area of the business. And then the users that are involved in that process, and how can you address that to get them successful in utilizing the system. When you look at CLM, one of the advantages that Apttus has is it was designed from the beginning to be enterprise. It was not designed in the beginning to be focused on just procurement or focused on just sales. Over the years, Apttus has evolved the additional products related to opportunity as in suppliers from the standpoint of that area of the business. But ECM can address a variety of areas, employment contracts, other areas of the business where there are exchanges of property or personnel that you need to actually have covered within the contract. So again, just start out realizing that there's more to contract management than just a departmental deployment. It truly has an application across the enterprise.
Thank you, Robert. That was fantastic. So how do you do it? How do you get there? Is there anybody today that's using buy-side contracts? Couple? Anybody using sell-side contracts? If you got both hands raised, you're already there. Ooh, you made it. So what's exciting about how our customers have done it is they started small. So I'm talking about 2 different customers. I've been with Apttus for 6 years. mainly focused on CLM. So I've been able to see what our customer base has been doing for all these 6 years. So most of them start small with a few agreements. NDAs. NDAs cover a couple of different areas. As Robert mentioned, you know, we have one NDA process, whether you're purchasing a product, whether you're selling a product. We have one NDA process, but it touches both sides of the spectrum. So think about that. You're already enterprise if you're doing NDAs all over your world. Celebrate success. So one of my customers had a big party when they got their first 100 contracts into the system. They had a big party, and do you remember that commercial? Some of you may be too young, but Heather Locklear had a commercial where she washed her hair, and when she told 2 friends, and then they told 2 friends, so it obliterated into this huge amount of people that wanted to use Herbal Essence shampoo. Well, contract management is just the same. When you tell 2 friends and then they tell 2 friends how exciting it is, I remember them telling me about putting the NDAs in. The people that were in the purchasing department, they were down the road to get contract management in, and they started knocking on legal's door saying, look, this NDA process is so simple that we'd like to take that and do other processes with it. We have leases that we do. We have employment contracts. Just like Rob mentioned, there's lots of different kinds of contracts, so let's enable these users to do this. So it goes viral after a while. People wanting to find out what the legal department is doing, what the purchasing department is doing that's different, that's enabling the speed and that control and the visibility around your contract cycle. More teams wanted to join in, and that really brought them to that enterprise level. So this is exciting. If you get this stuff to go viral within your organization, celebrate your success. Robert talked about that tipping point. It's hard to get the boulder up the hill, but once you get it up to the hill and you start telling other people about it, it gathers momentum as it ripples through your organization. So we are very excited to be here to talk to you about what our customers are doing. And I'm sure I see many of you in the audience that have been my customers, and you probably have stories like this for yourselves to share with others. So I really appreciate your time today. Rob, any closing comments?
I actually didn't prepare any.
Well, with that, we'd like to thank you for sitting through this. And if we can help you in any way, Rob and I both are Apttus folks. We report to Edward Chick, who's the general manager over our CLM practice. And Robert works for Varian, and we can get you in touch with him as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.